Hello, everybody. Here we are. This is Act 2. Yesterday, we fumbled the ball and didn't make any touchdowns, didn't make any yards at all. No, we tried restreaming. It just did not want to cooperate. Anyway, here we are. The original Onpassive Nation. Yes, we've been together for 10 years. But we're going to talk today about different things. Try to open people's eyes. Maybe if we can help out or have anything of value, you can pick it apart as we go. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure the YouTube channel is okay, and I can do that real quick. Well, it says live, so let's see. All right, I did find something wrong. Anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Mike right now just to chat a little bit. I have to go to Restream and change the title. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, thanks, Marty. Marty, when he first started, he came up with something that we always try and bring to a webinar, and that's value. And we're going to talk about a lot of things today. I have no idea where this conversation is going to go with these two, because you never know. But I want to start with the beginning of our journey, because I think it's really, really pertinent for everybody to understand what we have in hand. You know, the first meeting that Dan, Marty, and I had with Ash Mufareh, and Marty and Dan have talked about this, it really was extraordinary, because Marty, Dan, and I, we had an idea of what we wanted. And the idea we had was to be able to actually do something that would actually help people. And for us, it was very, very difficult over the years. It was hard to do, because there was nothing out there that really, in the end, was made for you and I. And when we talked with Mr. Mufareh, and Dan and Marty will agree with this, you know, once we got into the conversation and Ash took over, as he usually does, we just let him talk, and the three of us just listened to Mr. Mufareh. And I know the same thing was going through their minds that was going through my mind. This guy is speaking our language. He's talking about what we've been talking about for 5 or 6 years, and then he added to that. And I think what's really relevant for all of us today, as we listen to Mr. Mufareh, his goal was to create something that would actually help people, not just the 3% that are successful online. And Marty, Dan, and I, we know what we're doing. We can do this. But for most people, they don't have the inclination or the time to do what we do. And Mr. Mufareh was envisioning a system that people could come into, and it is not passive. You have to come in and do something. But as you come in, the system was made for you, and you will succeed if you just engage. And when we heard that 4 years ago, you know, the conversation with Ash was really, really good. But the conversations that we had after that, Marty, Dan, and I, we had after that, it was an exciting time, because we found a way forward, because of what Ash was doing, because of his philosophy, because of his mindset, that we could do and bring people in and make them successful. And Ash took it just over the moon. I mean, Marty, Dan, and I, we could do certain things, but we didn't have the vision that Ash had, the total vision, or the resources to make it happen. And Ash had both. He had the intellect and he had the resources to make this happen. This is where we're at today. Everything that we talked about 4 years ago has come into fruition, is a real deal right now. And hopefully today we can bring you some value, and maybe it helps you as we come into releasing OConnect to the world as a paid product. Perhaps we can give you a few things. Now, Onpassive is going to do all of this for us. It's what they do. It's how it's structured. But perhaps there's a few things you can do very, very easy that we can bring to the table that will help you get to that place where you want to be just quicker. I believe everybody over time is going to be at that place where they don't worry about finances. That is Onpassive. But maybe the three of us can do some things today that will help you kind of get that gray matter working for you, and you're going to find some things you can do as OConnect is offered to the public. And that's 5.6 billion people. Our market is massive. And believe me, there are things you can do that are going to help your situation. You're just going to be in a better place. So I'll turn it back to Marty and Dan, and we'll just kick it around. Go ahead, guys.
You want me to go, Dan, or?
Go ahead.
Anyway, like Mike said, you know, about 10 years ago, I think, time flies, and it's not true. It flies when you're having fun. It flies even if you're not having fun, by the way. We met, and it was through the MLM world, right? I mean, we were doing all this separately. We're trying this little crazy thing that you call MLM. I didn't know what it was about 100%, obviously, because what I found as years went on, as soon as you learn something, you find out something you didn't know, and that went on and on and on and on. Then I met Mike, and Mike knew Dan forever from high school, grade school, whatever, and we teamed up. And I brought this up a couple of weeks ago, just so you know. If you can team up with somebody, do it. It makes a difference. But here's the thing, and this is as hard to find as Onpassive. It's as rare as you can get, finding people or someone that you can trust. That's a big, big deal. I never once, after I got to know Mike and Dan, I never once looked back and would shut down my computer and go, man, I hope those guys that never went in my mind. I knew we were all thinking the same way. Now, it took a while to find out what lane we wanted to be in, because everybody's shooting off trying to do what they can do, right? Well, I know my weaknesses. You find out as you go. I can't write. I can write, but not like Dan. I can do live, but a video to explain what I want to explain in 7 minutes, that way bye-bye to me a long, long time ago. I can't do anything in 7 minutes, okay? So, but Mike could. So all of us talking, Mike could leave the next day or maybe even 2 days, do a video. Go to Dan, we did all the autoresponder. You guys know this story. Here's the beauty of all that. So 4 years ago, next month, the end of next month, beginning of the other, we were to the point in time on our journey of this crazy online business thing, MLM at the time, where is there anything that we really, really want? Because as soon as we found a business, we got where we could drive traffic. And I want to tell everybody, you're going to have people come up to, I can drive traffic, and they go buy it. They go buy solo ads, and they go to Safe List. That's garbage. That's not getting traffic. Okay. That's not targeted traffic. Targeted traffic probably takes 3 months to set up correctly. And it costs you money that whole 3 months, by the way. And then when you do get it right, you're fine tuning always. Then you get to the point, hey, you're bringing people in. Then what happens? The company that you joined that you thought was a company, they're gone. So all the work you did to build and establish this relationship and build stuff, you got to start over. Now, it doesn't mean you don't know how to do it. It's just you got to rebrand. You got to go and say, Ash even talked about much bigger scale, but it made sense to us when we heard Ash. We're like, okay, I don't care if he's 1,000 times bigger. The story's the same. The only difference is scaling. If you get the crap right, you can scale. If you're good and you scale and you stay good, you become great. It's not brain surgery. We never got to the point where we could scale. There was one business we had that we were in it at least 90 days, and we started scaling. On the 100th day, the business shut down. It kept growing. Mike was telling me, I believe, Dan, hey, we still got people come. I know, and it doesn't even exist. It took me a week or so to stop them from coming in. That's beautiful if you can get that. But here's what I want to tell everybody. First is, and everybody, Mike and Dan will put it, but first is get a team, but somebody you can trust. And I mean, trust like there's no question about it. You got to build that. It wasn't 3-4 months in, Dan gave me his credit card. Why? Because I don't have the money. But he was kind of like the banker guy, but he trusted me. And that's a great feeling. It's a great feeling on both sides, by the way. So we bought every little nickel and dime app to make this system that we called, whatever we called it, to work. And it did work. It was ugly. It was disgusting looking. And a 5,000-foot view, you looked down and said, what the frick is that mess? That was our mess. Okay. And it worked, but it was a mess. But find somebody you can work with. And the beauty of Onpassive is the best marketer that you ever met, ever, is in the mirror with Onpassive. Why? You could take your profits, give it to the company, and say, I want more traffic to go here. You don't have to do any of that bull crap. None of it. You know how beautiful that is? We would get, if you look at Onpassive like a game, a baseball game. We were on the game, myself, Mike, and Dan. You get out there, and in the real world, your bat's that big. The ball's coming at you at 500 miles an hour. The chance of you hitting it is 0. That's what everybody's chancing on MLM is. It's 0. I don't even want to hear 1%. It's 0. And Onpassive, the bat's the size of a telephone pole and you're hitting beach balls with it. It's simple. And I mean that with all my heart. If you look at where we've been and what we did and all the people we trampled over, and I'm telling you, we use people to get 20, 30,000 people on a list. Did we mean to? No. This happened every time. I'm going to say this real quick. I don't care what time it is. When we would build a team, we'd start to see a couple 100, 200, 400. We knew how to do it, and we built relationships. Here's the problem. If you have a heart and you build a relationship, you can't build a business with MLM.
That's right.
Because you care about the people you just brought in. We would get so big, and the conversation would go just like this. And Mike would do it, and Dan both. I remember Mike doing it. He'd say, well, what about them? Yeah. Well, we're not bringing anybody, but let's start showing them. Guys, women, what you're meeting after about 8 months or a year or 2 years or 5 years is you then. They don't know. And I can't tell this lady, Jane, who's a single mother with 3 kids, hey, I'm going to need your attention for the next 600 hours. It's not there. It's not reality. And the problem is these big shops or gurus, they say you do one little thing. You did a photo that's nice. You're unbelievable. You're going to be a millionaire. That's a lie. The whole industry's a lie. And Onpassive, it's true. It's better than what you see. And it's bigger than what you see. I'm going to turn this over now because my mind's racing and I'll try to calm down. But whoever wants to take it, go ahead. That's okay.
I'll jump in a little bit here. You know, what's fascinating and exciting for me right now is that, well, over the last 4 years, this Onpassive train has never stopped and it never will. And Onpassive has been continually moving forward. That's one of the things that I noticed when we first started is that this company was here to stay and it continually moved forward. And sometimes there were little obstacles, but we might take one little step back, but it was always going forward. And if you were engaged in this process at all over the last 4 years, or even if you were engaged over the last year, you know that this company is the real deal. It always has been, and it always will be. And so I believe with Marty, Mike, and I, with the team concept, we found that it really did work. Now, we didn't know at the very beginning that it was going to work, but we worked very, very hard at identifying the role that each of us would have based on our strengths. And now that's not to say that I couldn't eventually, if I really wanted to, do some videos.
Yep.
And maybe do them fairly well. So we're not holding anybody back and saying, hey, if you develop a team, you can't do this and you can't do that. You can do anything you want to do. But each of us have our own strengths, and we develop those not knowing exactly how it was going to work out. But we had the desire, and we had this, each of us had a certain set of skills, and we applied them to our business. And fortunately, each of us found our own lane, and it worked. It worked very well for us. Now, I'm not going to say that there wasn't a lot of hard work involved, and there was. But fortunately, we had some success and introduced this to a bunch of people. And I don't believe that would have been possible with any other company than Onpassive because of the business model. It's very unique. It's for the 98%. And we honestly believe that 98%, I guess 100% now, Marty, but 100% of you that are engaged with Onpassive can have some level of success. And it's very important, in my opinion, right now, today, in this meeting, that we established a mindset and an attitude of moving forward. We've been involved in educating and bringing founders and people into this business for the last 4 years, and now we're at a very exciting stage, and we need to move forward. And each of us, this is so important. Each of us have to take a look at ourselves and say, you know, I have a lot of potential. And in order for us to reach that potential, we have to change our attitude. And many of us have to change our habits and the way we do things. And we have to, this is something that only you can do. And now that doesn't mean you have to become an expert marketer and recruit people into the business on a massive scale, but it does mean that you have to take responsibility for your business and learn everything you can about Onpassive. And this, in my opinion, this shouldn't be work at all. This is going to be fun. And I can't wait to absorb myself into everything in this Onpassive ecosystem and expand my knowledge and learn things and enjoy every aspect of this business. And, you know, every day, you know, I'm amazed at the level. I just think about what has happened with Onpassive and with Mr. Mufara and the level of coordination and determination that it was required to implement everything that we have here today, and that we're going to be excited to see here this next week. They have an unbelievable ability to make the very complex very simple and very user-friendly for all of us. And we just have to appreciate the fact that that's going to change our lives. So my message here today too is just take responsibility for your business and do the things that you need to do moving forward here that's going to help you make you a success in this business. Mike, Marty?
Yeah, no, you're spot on, Dan. Absolutely spot on. Let's talk about team for just a little bit, because it's a difficult concept to get in your mind. And how do you develop a team? Marty's right. Building a team, the three of us, it's a very, very hard thing to do. Here's how it works. I've known Dan forever. Dan and I, when we got to know each other, we just meshed. That's just the way it is. And for some reason or not, and maybe Dan can tell you this story, we had to separate for a while. So Dan went his way, I went my way. And those are the stories that are really, really cool, because those are the hard times. You know, when you're out on an island by yourself, it's hard. And that happened to Dan and I for a good reason. And then I found Marty. Here's the thing about finding people you can work with. I was on a webinar with Marty. We did not know each other at all. I had never met Marty. I didn't know his name. I didn't know what he did. And on this webinar, we listened to one of the gurus, so-called gurus. And after we were done, Marty and I got off, and I said, well, that guy's full of baloney, but the other guy was really, really good. It was Marty. And somehow we contacted each other. And this is how building a team works. The first time I met Marty and talked with Marty, it's the same with Dan. The first time I met with him, it was over. I knew he was an individual that I could trust totally. I don't know how that works. It's just the chemistry. It just worked. And maybe it's discernment. I don't know, but it just clicked. That's how building a team works. Let me tell you a little something about Dan. The other day I did a webinar, and I used just a small quote from the Bill of Rights. We're endowed by a creator with certain unalienable rights. Of those rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's a very, very quote to remember. Dan, at one time, could recite the whole Bill of Rights. Where do I get my inspiration? Where do I get my ideas? It's from Dan Street, Marty DeGarmo, and of course, Mr. Mufareh. You want to find people, and it's hard, but when you find it, it just messes. You want to find people that inspire you, that bring you along. And then once you get that interaction with individuals that you really, you're really, I mean, you like them. You just automatically like them. Good things start to happen because you start to talk, you start to mix things up, you start to bring things to the picture. That's how you build a team. And team building, once you find people you can work with, as Dan said, Onpassive is a joy. Yeah, over the last 4 years, there were ups and downs. Do Marty, Dan, and I always agree? No. But those disagreements last for about 10 minutes, and we find out that they're really irrelevant, and we move forward. They bring so much to the table that the little things that you disagree about, they don't matter at all. So team building is a really, really big thing. Marty and Dan have brought up a lot of things. There's a lot of things here to talk about, and I think we'll get into some of them today. But yeah, building a team, having people you can rely on, you can lean on, you can get ideas from, it's always a good idea. And then from there, how do you implement that team and what do you do? I think we'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, these guys, Ash Mufareh, it's where the inspiration comes from. And you want to be inspired, believe me. And when you're that way, when you wake up in the morning, as Dan said, this is a joy. Onpassive is a joy. It's not a drudgery. And over the last 4 years, it has never been a drudgery. It's always been an exciting journey. And where we are today with the webinar coming up next week, I mean, if you're not just bouncing off the walls, you don't know what's coming. Marty, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, very good. I'm glad you brought up inspire. Some people, I don't know. I always hear people say, well, you know, I listen to a motivational speaker, that guy motivate. I think the biggest thing I've learned in my life, and especially working with these guys and being online so long, is you have to be self-motivated. You can inspiring people on the journey there's probably not very many things more important than that, but you have to get to the point where your motivation is you. And I want to tell you something. Part of what helps me motivate in this business or anything in life is you got to have a passion, and you got to look at it and say, what is this? I look at Onpassive and I see unlimited potential. Yep. And I can't say that about any business I've ever been in. About a year ago, somebody asked me, no, I asked them. I took a picture and there was a big pile of bricks. And I said, what is that? And he goes, that's a pile of bricks. I said, but it could be a mansion. It's how you look at things. If you look at stuff one-dimensional, like everybody, I know people look at Onpassive, they look at the title of the product and they go, in that title, that's not Marty DeGarmo. That's not true. That's not true. The potential of Onpassive is many of these things that intertwine can build you. I don't care what your passion is. I'm not kidding. I ran into a bunch of people, what they might like, what they might interest might be in, and looked at it as business wise. I can't think of anything, just about anything that you couldn't put on this platform, do something you love, and build a business doing it. I couldn't say that about any other business I've ever been in, ever. When I saw OConnect, now I heard it, but when I saw OConnect, Mr. Mufareh was talking and that thing popped above his head with the counter call to action on a screen that you can click, it was over. I lost consciousness, right? So I'm thinking about that button the whole time. And I find myself, man, I could put the button here and put the button here, put the button. But while I'm doing that, Ash is still talking. Different people come on, and I'm still working on this call to action. Holy cow! Did you know you could? I don't care what you're doing. You could. Yeah, I'm having a conversation with me. But that's the kind of stuff. But see, somebody else might look at that button and go, well, that's pretty cool, but they're not really looking at what it is or what it could be. And everything about Onpassive to me is that button. Everything, everywhere I go, when I look at a product, I read about it and I'm going, wow, and automatically, you know what we could do with that? And that's what Mike said. When we get together and we chat, Mike will come in with an idea and say something, right? He'll do a video after we talk. It's much better than the conversation we had usually. But no, anyway, somebody will say something and we'll leave. Well, I'm back, I'm working on stuff, and all of a sudden I'm going, what the freak did Mike say about what? Yeah, did you know, not only that, we could hook it to this and that. Now you're going even further. I actually wind up having a follow-up conversation, not with Mike and Dan, who might have started it, but with somebody totally different. I'm not kidding. That happens all the time. But looking on Onpassive to me is a 1,000-lane highway, right? A million-lane highway where everybody can go as fast as they want. You win your own race. You can walk, you can crawl, you can run, you can fly like an eagle. I'm going to tear up the pavement. So is Mike and Dan. That's what we do. It's not about greed. It's not about greed. If it takes blank, blank, blank to get where I want to be, I want the blank, blank, blank cut in half. I want to leverage that time. Why? I have a best friend, one of my best friends, a lady I know. She's dying. Kidney failure. She could have been all right 3 weeks ago, right? 4 weeks ago. You have no guarantees. And I don't want to go by age. Age doesn't matter. There was a big runner in the 70s. Running, had a stroke. You don't know. We have no guarantees. And you can take Onpassive and have fun building a business. Another thing I want to bring up, this is hilarious. When you're out in the MLM world and you're sharing something, and if you're going to be honest, some people are watching this that aren't in Onpassive. Do you feel that drive so strong, there's no hesitation? I'm going to answer for you. No, because there's always something deep inside going, something might happen. They might shut down. I don't know if I can afford next month's thing. I don't know what the company's really, what their intentions are. You don't have that with Onpassive. Do you know how easy it's going to be to share something, even if it's not Onpassive, something you really love, and it doesn't matter if you make a lot of money with it, because the business itself is going to take care of you. So you can actually share something because you really, really like it. How many people are sharing things in MLM they don't even like it? They're doing it to make the money. No, it's true. Potions and lotions and, how much you get rid of. Oh, good, We spent one time 3 or 4 months building up for this sports app game. We had thousands of people. We were done. Something critical happened. Something very critical, unseen. The game sucked. It absolutely sucked. It wasn't fun. So you're sitting there for a week or so trying to convince yourself, well, it's going to get a lot more fun in a couple of days. No, it's not. It sucks. In fact, I would play anything but that game. So, I mean, that happens. I don't have that feeling in Onpassive about anything we're doing. Not even that much. In fact, I'm more upset with people because they won't open their eyes. I'm not telling you don't have to be a genius, just to open your eyes and see what you really, really have. Take the time. I went in the back office and I scrolled around like I was a new person. It's hard to do, but I did the best I could. And I went, if people see this, it's over. I'm telling you right now, it's over. And you'd ever come to me again, what happens if I don't get my 3? If you don't get 3, you're in the wrong company. You are not Onpassive. You went somewhere else and just somewhere you had a brain freeze or something. But anyway, no, everything's there. Work with each other. Things will come up. I think people want to overcomplicate things. You can make your own page. Listen, the pages that did the best for us, they were ugly. Absolutely ugly. Images, ugly. But you know why? We found out, don't fall in love with what you're doing, fall in love with what works. You might make something and create. Mr. Mufara company drive $1,000 in traffic and it will blow off the map. You don't know, but don't fall in love with the item, fall in love with the result. And you just keep trying different stuff. And with Onpassive, that relaxation of you're okay, no matter what you do, oh my God, you can't buy that. That's priceless. I'm going to turn it over to Mike.
Dan, go ahead, Dan. Unmute. Are you muted, Dan?
Nobody's
can't hear
quiet.
you.
I don't know. Something died.
No, you can't hear you, Dan. Maybe it's your plugs, your earplugs. Yeah,
said, you go.
Let me say a couple of things. As you're listening to Marty, Dan, and I, this is how our conversations go. It's how we listen to Ash Mufara. And it's absolutely amazing. These guys will say one word, or Ash Mufara will say one word, and I'm off on a 2-day tangent thinking about that one word. And I'll give you an example. This is something Mr. Mufara said on his last webinar. It was about a 10-second statement. And when I heard that, I was just totally engaged. I started to think about what he said, and I thought about that for 3 days. It was so powerful. And this is how our conversations go. It's how we get to where we're going. It's how we bring in things to the, it's how we bring things into the table. And this happens every time we talk. And that's why we are all over the place. I'll hear something from Marty and I was thinking this, and all of a sudden I'm way over here because it just blows my mind. When you think about Onpassive, I know most of you all know the basics of Onpassive. You just do. You know how it's structured. You know what's going to be happening. But when you start to look at the nuances of Onpassive, what Mr. Mufara is doing with the products of Onpassive, with the marketing of Onpassive, with the tech team of Onpassive, and you start to understand what those nuances are doing and what you can do with them, you get really, really excited because, as Marty said, this is not hard. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to really make a lot of this stuff work. So as we think about Onpassive, as we think about the nuances of Onpassive and what you're going to be able to do, those things are going to continue to escalate and escalate and escalate. And as Marty said, it's going to be so easy to share these with people because in the end, you don't really care what they do. And people are funny. They'll hear something from you, turn it off, and maybe in an hour they'll turn it back on and they're going, you know, that was really interesting. I think maybe I want to know a little bit more about that. And I think we're all going to be doing that. And of course, there are techniques you can use. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but they are Onpassive. It's what Onpassive allows you to do because of the platform that Mr. Mufara has made. Dan, go ahead. Are you on? Can we hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Go ahead.
Okay, all right, thanks. Well, one of the things, when Marty was talking a little bit, it reminded me of something that I think is very important to bring to everybody's attention, just because of the fact that I've never seen a company that has been able to stick around long enough for me to develop the relationships that we've all had. And the other thing is, in any of the other businesses that we've been involved with, there wasn't a way, it didn't stay around long enough for us to nurture those relationships with the people that we were involved with. And with Onpassive, it's been 4 years. And think about this, 4 years, 200 countries, and all of the people that we've met and done webinars with and developed personal relationships with. And not only that, you see somebody that was very meek and mild at the very beginning, and they're leaders now. And it's so amazing to look all over the world, people in Africa and Papua New Guinea and India and all over Europe and Indonesia and Singapore and looking at these people and seeing how motivated they are and inspired they are about the potential of a company like Onpassive. And we see it every day. We see Onpassive taking the next step to being a company that is beyond our imagination. I mean, we look at the train station, we look at the Burj Khalifa. It's a reality, folks. Everything that Ash has envisioned, and we don't even know a fraction of it, is coming to a reality. And for those people that have not been engaged in this whole process, they're missing out. They've missed out on developing relationships with people all over the world and friendships. And we can hardly wait to meet these people in person. Like I said yesterday in the meeting, which didn't go very well, I have developed these relationships with people, but I've been more in my career, been more of a face-to-face person. That's how that was my whole career. And I can hardly wait to meet a lot of the people all over the world. Think about it. I can go anywhere in the world and I probably know somebody in that country that I can say, hey, I want to come see you. You have a friend all over the world. So that's so unique and so amazing about Onpassive. And I just wanted to throw that in there. Who's next? Marty?
Yeah, why not? That was fantastic. Yeah, I'm hoping, I think if people could just, some people for the first time in their life, focus on you and what you can do. This isn't about, well, he can do this and she can do that and I can't. Get rid of the I can't. Listen, I've met some of these people. I've been with people in big companies, Fortune 500, and you're always thinking that they're better, they're different. No, they're not. The only thing that makes them different is you. You put that label. They might think there's somebody different. In most cases, they're not. I've met people. I've met athletes. I've met NFL players. I went to school with a couple of guys, and they were bozos in school. Okay, no, I mean they weren't anything special. A couple of them were a couple of punks. They were nothing. So you don't look at that. Look at you. You can, in this business for the first time, and I don't care if you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, you're breathing air, you're a living soul. You can reach a potential that you have never done before. Open your eyes, smell the roses, take a walk, and believe that there's nothing that you can't do with Onpassive. And I know that sounds totally ridiculous. It sounds pie in the sky. You talk to me or anybody here, 5 minutes, you tell me what your passion is, and I can tell you a way that you can blow it up. I can tell you a way that you can expand it, because like the big deal with Onpassive is you don't have that thing grabbing a hold of you. You don't have that weight on your shoulders of, am I about to rip off my friends? It's gone. It's absolutely gone. Listen, when they got the train station, 10 years, What the freak do you think that costs? I mean, just use your imagination. I looked up some stuff and it's disgusting amount of money. But look at this. What company in the history of mankind, all the way from the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, went out and put their money ahead of their mouth? Not put their money where their mouth is, ahead of anything they're saying. They built this thing and you're seeing, wait a minute, we're in the highest building in the world. We own 2 floors, not 2 offices. We own them. We get a name on a train station that's one of the heaviest used train stations in the world with nothing but targeted traffic for 10 years. How many people are going to be going through that train station a year from now, 5 years from now, 6 years from now? 700,000 a day today? What do you think it's going to be in a year or 2 years when that is the hub of AI? The heartbeat of AI is Dubai. Well, that rhymes. Yeah, I got to write something about that. No, but anyway, the heartbeat of AI is Dubai. It is. Everybody wants to be there. Everybody that is there is either on vacation as an IT AI person, or they're going there to talk to people about that. And on that train ride, they look at their side vision is Onpassive. They run up the stairs because they're late for the train. Onpassive. Guys, that is genius. There's people waking up with a cold sweat somewhere in California, in Singapore, big companies who's laying people off today by the thousands. Onpassive. How the freak are these people? What are they doing? Why are they there? What are they? Listen to me. The lady and the man taking the picture, if that's all you see, you're not grasping what's going on. That picture's going to be on a table. It's going to be in a camera. And somebody's going to look at it and they're going to go, hey, that tower's beautiful. Somebody's going to say, what's Onpassive? How many do you think? How many do you think? How many people, executives, went back to their office? They have thousands of people in their organization. They call a conference room meeting, and the meeting is, I was in Dubai. I tripped over Onpassive. I inhaled Onpassive. I got smacked in the head by Onpassive. I want to know, and I want to know now, by the end of this week, who is Onpassive. Trust me, that's happening. Onpassive is you. It's me. And we didn't have to do any of it. $97? $97. Do you see my grandson? He gobbles $97 in food every 20 minutes. No, I mean, come on, you didn't. And if you look at, and that's one thing. And what is the chance that crazy ass me for, and I say that with all due respect, surrounds himself with people as crazy as he is. In fact, he told me the one guy is even crazier than he is. Is that possible? But when I say crazy, I mean crazy good.
Crazy good.
Yeah, you talk about
Crazy
people,
good.
they're in a box. There is no box in Onpassive. In fact, you're paid to stay out of it. What do you think? I think we can make this, do that, and that. Go for it. What's it cost? He doesn't even ask. Doesn't ask. Why? Because he's so smart, he knows. And this goes back to the ingredients of success. And guess who forgot about it? These big companies forgot what it really is. They started that way, and then it turned into shareholders who could, and who are they trying to make happy? The public? They could care less. Why? They're all in the same game. Go look at any individual, any company where they're selling something. One might be $5 more, $5 less. Technology's the same. Old, doesn't work. But you can't go to anybody else. Why? Because they're just no better. You don't think they're in the cahoots with each other? You stay cool, I'll stay cool. And then here comes this crazy company called Onpassive. New sheriff in town. I don't go by your rules. I don't go by your rules. We got our own rules. We're going to give value. We're going to be the best of the best. We're not out to suck every penny out of everybody's pocket. We just want everybody's pocket. We don't want all your money. We just want you to come. Just come and you make up your own decision. That's been bye-bye for a long, long time in the world. Bye. And let me tell you something. When your great-grandchildren go to college and they're teaching Onpassive 101, this is how you grow a company and this is how you do it right. Because the turning point of the industry around the world will be Onpassive, my opinion. And I believe a lot of people are going to feel the same way. And the more you get into the Onpassive and stop putting limits. Your limits are between your ears. Other than that, Onpassive doesn't have limits. They don't have limits of any product they have. Ash doesn't even know what limits mean. In fact, he doesn't even know the limit of his own body. He said, okay, he's a nut. But we all care for him. But I'll tell you what, because of that, you have the opportunity of a lifetime. You have an opportunity of your ancestors' lifetime. Why not do it? Why not ride this thing for everything it's got? You don't have to. You're not even expected to. It's an open buffet. What do you want? Take whatever you want, as much as you want, go as fast as you want, go slow if you want. But man, my God, please just open your eyes, change your mindset, like Dan said. The mindset in Onpassive is wide open. If you ever say, but what if, what the freak are you talking about? Do it. Whatever it is, you can do it in Onpassive. I believe that. I wouldn't say it. I would not say it if I didn't believe it. This is the easiest thing to talk about. People say, oh, how can you talk for hours? How could you not? No, but how could you not? And I don't see everything. I'm not up there where Ash is at with that view. I'm afraid to go up there. I can barely handle myself wherever I'm at. But I want people to see or feel what I'm talking about. Once you get there, you don't need to be motivated. You can inspire each other. You can talk nice about each other. Motivation's gone. I don't need it. I don't need to be motivated. I need to calm down. But I don't need to be motivated. Nobody here does. And like I said, go rounding everything off, team, do it. And B, listen to me. You want to be successful, and this is no joke. Help a lot of people get what they want. I heard that as a kid, and I thought, man, it's so corny. It's not. Except I say one thing farther. Don't just lend them a hand down to pull them up, put them on your shoulders and lift them above yourself. Because if you do that, you will surround yourself with people that are better than you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because it makes you strive to be better. It challenges you. But challenge yourself. Really, Onpassive is the key for change everything in your life. I believe that. It's not just a business. It's not. It's a culture that you're invited. Everybody watching this is invited to be part of that. But if you're negative, nasty, brainless, don't believe in anything and don't come here. You're going to be disappointed. There's not enough doom and gloom for you if you come here. Anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Mike. I'm done because I can't keep going, but whoever wants it.
Believe me, you got more to say, Marty.
Yeah, I got to end sometime.
Listen, guys, if you just listen to Dan and Marty, you know what Onpassive is, and it will set you free. Most of you out there know I love the numbers, and I love to talk about the numbers of Onpassive. We don't do that very often anymore. But listening to Marty, if you heard what Marty said, what Ash is doing, what his team is doing, what they're doing in Dubai, what they're doing in Hyderabad, what they're doing around the world, if you really heard that, you know where we're at. Not only do you know where we're at, but you know we're unstoppable. If you listen to Dan, it's so much greater than that. And I'll give you an example. Papua New Guinea, David Baku and the people around him, Nancy and the people around him. They're just not associates. They are family. This is what Onpassive does. And when you put those two things together, you put a system together that is unstoppable, and you bring family to the table. And we have family, as Dan said, all around the world. Now we have an army. Understand that. Again, it's the numbers. We have an army of over 1 million individuals that once we start to do something, once we start to move in one direction, it is unstoppable. Do you think Mr. Mufara knows that? I can guarantee you he knows it. And he's so gracious that we have come on and started this journey with him. He's glad we're here, and we're ecstatic that he's leading everything forward. So if you've listened to Marty, if you listen to Dan, you know exactly where we are. Now, let's get into the brass tacks a little bit. Mindset, team, we've talked about all those things that you can be doing. What do you do? How do you do it? How does all this work? How's Onpassive going to give me a way forward to build something that I could get to the place I want faster? I'm just going to throw out a couple of things. And again, these are the nuances of Onpassive, and there's so much of it. And Dan and Marty can interject after I'm done with this first one. Let's talk about that little button, that little call to action button that Mr. Mufara introduced to us on the last webinar. It is so powerful, and most people going, well, yeah, that's really, really cool. What do I do with it? What do you do with it? Well, OCreate is coming out very, very quickly. OCreate is a way for us to build funnels. And I don't recommend that you build a sales funnel. I recommend that you build an informational funnel. There is a little difference there. When you're giving people information, you're going to end up in the same place. They're going to come in and buy. But if you give people good information and let them take the leap to buying the product, that's a better way to do it. And as you come in, how do you build a page with OCreate? It's really, really easy. Number one, Onpassive is going to have tons and tons of content, informational content that you can incorporate for you with your links. You can also add a video to those pages that you can build. Are they your videos? Maybe not, maybe not. Maybe there's someone that you're working for that does videos very, very well. Maybe it's one of Dan's or Marty's or my videos. Maybe it's one of the other founders that you put up there. And you put that up there, and it draws attraction, and they're interested. And then that little call to action button goes up at the top. And it takes you to another page that specifically talks about what they're interested in. And as you build these pages, you're targeting an audience. You know what they want. They're either looking for, they might be looking for a better way to train a dog, or a better way to ride horses, or a better way to knit, or whatever it is. You know what they're asking for and what they want. You take them to another page, you tell them exactly what it is, and then from there they'll buy. So that's just one way you can come into Onpassive, build a page, hook them to your links, get them out there, and then we can talk about traffic, because traffic is the key to everything. And when you're talking about Onpassive, I can tell you flat out, Onpassive is the best company in the world at getting good qualified eyes in front of what you're talking about, period. And as Marty said, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be anything. So that's just one little thing. Call to action button, OCreate, create a page, create an informational funnel, get people coming in, and then take them to another page. It sounds very, very complicated, but it's not. It's very, very, very easy. And when you think about what Marty, Dan, and I have done, Marty talked about that originally, and you look at it at a 50,000 foot view, you look at it and you go, what is that? I don't have a clue what that is. Well, the only people that knew what that was Marty, Dan, and Mike. And to me, it was absolutely beautiful. But people looking at it, they looked at it and said, I can't do that. That's not Onpassive. Onpassive is very, very simple, because all the tools that you need are right there in the platform of Onpassive. You can do everything. And it's really, really cool when we talk about building pages, building funnels, that kind of stuff. Marty, Dan, and I, it would take a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks to actually get a system together that we could put out there and test. With Onpassive, you can do that in a matter of hours, guys. And then you can test it very, very quickly with the traffic of Onpassive. So that's kind of the brass tacks of Onpassive. That's one of the nuances of Onpassive. And I know Marty has more ideas and Dan has more ideas. There will be things you can do, very, very simple things. And again, you don't have to do any of this. Onpassive, you're going to get to the place you want to be just being an Onpassive and being engaged. But if you do just a few little things, you're going to get to that place quicker and get to that place where you're financially independent. And when that happens, and I think everybody knows this intuitively, once you're financially independent, everything changes because you decide what you want to do, when you do it, and how you do it, period. So that's one of the nuances of Onpassive. Dan, Marty, if you've got another one, throw it out there.
Well, I'll just jump in. I'll keep it real simple. I think one of the key things that you can do at the very beginning, once we get going here, is when you start receiving a certain level of income, take a certain percentage of that income, set it aside, and buy traffic. And Onpassive will give you the ability to buy more traffic that gives more people eyes on it'll drive more traffic and more customers to the Onpassive products. Now, and that's the one thing I would say right now, because I think that a lot of these products, we don't really know the true potential of all of them. It's going to be so much more than we can even imagine at this point in time. So the other thing I would just end with, and I'll end with this, is that have you ever heard or seen a company where the CEO and founder of a company wants to learn more, is in a constant state of just having this desire of wanting to gain more knowledge and understanding? He can hardly wait for Onpassive to launch, in its entirety, and he wants to go to O Academy and just expand his knowledge on a variety of things. That, to me, inspires me and motivates me to want to learn more. And I would put it out there to everybody. This company is going to allow you the ability to learn things that you might not even know you want to learn right now. You might want to learn another language. You might want to learn something. You might look in the marketplace and see some company or see somebody in Academy that's teaching something that, wow, I always wanted to know about that. There's no company on the planet that has any type of a format put together or a platform put together where you're going to have the ability to do that. And the inspirational thing for me is when the CEO tells us how his desire to learn in his own company. It's just amazing. So that's what I'll end with. I don't normally talk too much anyway, but had a lot to say here because I'm just so excited about being with these guys. Have been for a long time, and we're just good friends, and we always will be. And the journey we have ahead of us next week. It isn't a journey. It's we're there, folks, and it's exciting. That's all I have for now.
Oh, wow. We've been an hour. That was quick.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else other than, open your mind, look at the potential the best you can, and remember what we know, we still don't know. So if you can at least get to where the possibilities are endless for you, your family, anything you really want to do, you can go at any pace you want, but stop judging yourself from others. Just be you. Worry about you. Take care of you. You can do anything that we're talking about here today. Guarantee it. And the difference is because 99% of all the workload is done by the company and they happily do it. You're never going to see that again. So I would take advantage of that 100%. Like Dan said, put money aside, make sure you take care of yourself, but have money aside, add it to traffic, tell the traffic, go here or go there, and you can, sky's the limit. So that's all I got. If anybody else has anything else,
just real quick, Marty, I want to talk about OConnect, and you've mentioned this, Dan's mentioned it. OConnect is a dream come true. OConnect can be used for personal discussions with people. It can be used with groups. It can be used with very, very large groups. And most of you already know this. You want to use OConnect because every time you bring somebody in OConnect, they get a free subscription to Onpassive. They're in. They are in the ecosystem of Onpassive, and they're yours. So you want to use OConnect in all your communications online, obviously not emails, but if you're talking to somebody online, you want to do that with OConnect, whether they're in Onpassive or they're not in Onpassive. And from there, let your mind run free. I mean, if you have an interest in dog training and you have people that love dogs, and there's a lot of them, they're crazy. They will do anything for their dogs. And if you have something you want to talk about, even if they're the ones you want to talk to, or you want them to talk to a group, have an OConnect, bring them all in, because all of those individuals will be in the ecosystem of Onpassive. It really is as simple as that. I want to end with, it's always a couple of words that either Mr. Mufara says or Marty or Dan says that it just sends me off onto just a tangent for days. And Muhammad Kamal came on maybe 2 webinars ago, and Muhammad is pretty soft spoken. He's very, very good, very, very smart. But even Muhammad Kamal came on and he said, you guys don't know what's coming. You don't have a clue. Onpassive is doing things you can't even imagine, and you're going to see it very, very quickly. And it goes back to the numbers of Onpassive and what Ash and his team are doing. Again, I love the numbers of Onpassive, and I wish I could talk more about them. Maybe in the future we can. They are massive, and I don't care who you are. I don't care what your background is. I don't care when you came in as a brand ambassador. Ash Mufara has you in his mind and on his heart. He wants you to be successful. And Onpassive, because of the way it's structured, because of what Mr. Mufara has done, because of his vision, you will be successful, period, over time. And that's why you have to be patient. And the last thing I'll say is, and Marty and Dan both touched on this, you really want to enjoy the journey. And I'm not talking about a 4-year journey. I'm talking about every day. Get up, enjoy the journey, because as Marty said, we don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know if we're going to be here or not. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the people you're talking to. Enjoy Onpassive. That is enjoying the journey. And I can tell you, for the most part, Marty, Dan, and I, over the last 4 years, it's just been terrific. We've enjoyed all of it. And if you can come in with Dan's mindset, enjoy the journey. Life is just good. It really is. We haven't made a dime yet. Life is really, really good, and it should be the same thing with you. Marty, go ahead and shut it down.
Yeah, I can't add anything to what Mike just said. Perfect. Thank you for being here and supporting us the last hour. Hopefully we gave you some stuff to think about. And like I said, there's a lot that we could say a lot more, but it's not necessarily now. As time goes on, anytime we can help people, we will do so. Anyway, thank you very much. Have a great day, and we'll see you all this week, because it looks like it's going to be a pretty powerful week. I can't wait. I'll see you guys. Thanks, Mike, Dan.
See ya.